Okay, it's been a couple hours since the last video. This is part 2. Now, I was discussing 9/11 and how there would have to be a global cover-up involving all the super nations, all the super states, to keep 9/11 a secret, to have all these nations stand down. And what you need to know is, as you see 9/11 truth in the media, especially in the international media, in the Chinese media and the Russian media, that's obviously deliberately put there to further demonize what America has become. New World Order, this concept of a New World Order, is nothing new. Gary Allen's None Dare Call It a Conspiracy. I should probably get that book again and review it. Maybe read some of it here on this YouTube channel, because there's a lot of fundamental information in that 1972 classic bestseller that lays out how capitalist factions set up communism and set up these other systems so they have something to fight, so they have something for the military and industrial complex to use and say, here is our threat, this is why we have to build up, this is why we have to funnel this money from the Federal Reserve into our military industrial complex. Look at what monster is erupting over here. And I think that there's a very profound history, a very important history, that all the people of the world should know about Russia and China. The Bolshevik Revolution and what was going on even before the Mao Zedong, Chiang Kai-shek rivalry. Of course, where the OSS was going back and forth, alternating which side they were on. This is very important history that I want to touch upon in the future. It's a very important part of history. How Western influence came in a very long time ago and manipulated these societies and helped manifest what is today. There's a dark side of history that a lot of people don't know. Now, there's Howard Zinn's History of the World, and that's something else I need to review again, and I've read parts of it. I don't think I got that title correct either, and I'm not perfect with remembering everything, but certain stuff, in terms of my memory, is photographic. There are certain dates, there are certain reports, there are certain things that I have made a note over the years to remember. And I'm trying to recall some of those things in this video, because it's all very important as we lead up to this staged World War III event that you know how a lot of these things were set up. Let me talk about the Huawei Corporation. Huawei Corporation, it's in Plano, Texas. I found out about this when I was living in Dallas in 2012. There's a video you can find on YouTube of the governor of Texas, Rick Perry, in a red ribbon cutting ceremony, welcoming the Huawei Corporation to set up their headquarters in Plano, which is like the Beverly Hills of Dallas. So the Huawei Corporation has already been discussed in Congress, and there's a number of congressmen, you can look online for more information, that are against Huawei operating in the United States because they've been identified as an arm of the CCP, the spy arm. So here's this Huawei Corporation with its headquarters in Plano, Texas, and they've been selling cell phones to everybody. There's Americans walking around with Huawei cell phones. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And the come and take it state obviously laid down and took it, because you got a secret spy hub. You guys are all focused, many are focused on the NSA and Snowden and whatnot. We can't turn our eye to stuff like this. Okay, so they've already been identified as a corporation involved in spying. They're connected with the Chinese government. This is how things work in China, Chinese corporation, the state. Okay, they're connected at the hip. And so they've got this deal in Texas, and they're selling cell phones. We already know cell phones can track you. Okay, why would we want the Chinese to track us? Oh, how could this go wrong? How deep shall we go? Should we talk about the one-child policy? How deep do we go? Do we get into the projections by 2020? 30 million more men than women because of the one-child policy. So we talk about the pollution and why, with all the stuff going on, maybe a young, up-and-coming Chinese soldier might want to maybe one day live outside of China. And look at all these Western corporations that are hiding in China, that are working with the Chinese government, that keep their mouth shut about the human rights violations. It's profound. China is on the world stage. They've got the CCTV. Russia's got RT. And the propaganda war is on. And the New World Order is being represented worldwide and globally, even by a lot of people here in the alternative media in the U.S., as something that's strictly Anglo-Saxon, Israel and the U.S. And that's how things seem. That's the reality that they want people to see. When even they're looking at New World Order, world government, who's behind it, what do they want? And who are the guys that maybe can stand up against them? And I'm telling you, there's a false script. Over here, we've got the good guys. Ding, ding, ding. We've got Russia. We've got China. We've got North Korea. We've got Iran. We've got Syria. We've got other nations. And they are the next coalition. They are the BRICS. They are the SCO. They are the this, and I'm sure many other names, because there's different groups that are forming. People say, hey, we stopped them from bombing Syria. Really? Because, see, I was interpreting this a completely different way. Let me break this down. That was, again, the U.S.'s way of taking the knife, as it's been asked to do, and committed suicide before the world, just a little bit early. Because by showing its intentions, we're going to fuck you up. And you know what? Nuclear options, they ain't off the table. And you got John Kerry the skeleton coming out, acting like he's under mind control. Whoa, must kill. He's turning green in the face. He's looking literally like Frankenstein. And the whole world's going, holy fuck, it's on. It's 2013. Things are moving to the next phase. What's Obama going to do to become the dictator in the third term? Oh my God, government shutdown. And just all this, and it's all gone now. Including all that government shutdown nonsense, I guess, at least until spring. A lot of people are concerned about the economy and something happening in the spring. Of course, I'm a veteran with some of this alternative media stuff, independent media stuff, and I've heard this over and over and over again, so I don't immediately react, because this is a longer term, very precise, very strategic plan to bring America down economically in a slow decline, while outstretching the U.S. military and those criminal aspects in control of our own government, launching wars and doing things they can't back up. It's like walking up to a bunch of gangbangers and insulting their race. 20 of them, and expecting them to do nothing. Thinking that you're going to be able to take them on, and you got no training, you got no weapons. Well, we're seeing very destructive, self-destructive acts right now at the U.S. military. And you've got all these people that are being replaced by our current president, the heads of the military. A very rapid turnover within the top tier of the military, at least what we can see, what we can touch, what we're told is real. Of course, above that, there are other levels. I'll never forget the raising of the Chinese flag in 2009. And that should have said it for people. This is being done by design. This man is allowing it. There's a ritual taking place. When your president goes around and they bow to Saudi Arabia, and they bow to China, and they bow to these different nations, it's symbolic. And then, of course, you have the picture of the Prime Minister looking down at the President with disgust and disdain in an arrogant manner. Not too different than the arrogant manner we've seen from this particular Commander-in-Chief. And then, of course, I'd even click on it. I saw the link going around last week. Putin and Obama walking together. See the difference in the body language. All of this is deliberate. It always has been deliberate. Anybody but Bush made way for anybody but Obama. And anybody but Obama is going to make way for something else. I know it's so simple to understand, but yet it is very difficult for others to see this. So in the propaganda war, I remember talking about this years and years ago. Putin is being presented to the world as a savior, as a protector. Now he's officially as bad or badder than Chuck Norris. Very, very interesting propaganda that we're hearing about the great Putin, martial artist. And yes, there's a certain amount of charisma when we see Putin and we see him swaggering and he's got his shirt off, and we know how we see those clips from RT, you know, the same RT that's going to be the media for us because our own media can't do the job. So we're going to look towards the KGB. And so we're looking at RT and they're showing us Putin, and he's riding in a goddamn motorcycle. He's got a gang around him. They're like, yeah, and then here comes Putin. He's like, yeah, what? And he's got these guys around him. They're like, yeah, that's right, motherfucker. We're riding with Putin. We're gangster, yo. and I'm sure Putin has his own dark history with Russian intelligence in the past, the old Russia, the old Soviet Union. Perhaps there's information there with his family. Now, you got to understand, let me say this. Just because you see a country putting out propaganda against another country, there's a couple things at play here. There's a couple things that are coming to mind. Okay, because there's an American-made documentary about Putin. And there's truth in some of these documentaries, and some of it's just propaganda to keep this us versus them thing going on. But it doesn't mean that you can't extract some truth from the documentary. It's just like, there's a documentary that North Korea put out, and it's about American propaganda. Okay, and it gets into 9/11, and it gets into all these things. Did it get into the fact that glad the camera came back on. The steel was exported to China. China funds our wars. China has never raised any serious concerns about 9/11. They have funded the U.S. government. They're an accomplice. Now, in terms of the dope game, you've got a lot of people on drugs in Russia, on heroin. You got a lot of people on drugs in some aspects of China, believe it or not. Afghanistan is where so much of this is being produced today. Now you got that oil pipeline that China's now signed on to with Hamid Karzai. And you got all types of weird shit going on with the Afghan elections, how things have been worse since the U.S. has been there. And now there's this security pact with Afghanistan, the U.S. and Afghanistan, the puppets, at least, like Karzai and others. They've got set for them to be there a very long time. I've also been watching this Afghanistan Facebook page, total CIA operation. Total intelligence agency collecting information, data mining on what Afghans think about the occupation. And I think the Afghans that are on that page, a lot of them are here in the United States, and some of them are not here in the United States. They're from all over the world, anywhere you can access Facebook. So those that are from Afghanistan, refugees basically, you got a Facebook page called Afghanistan, and they're constantly asking you, what do you think about this? Isn't this great? Aren't things going great? So glad things aren't the way that they were, without taking into account who financed the Taliban to begin with. You got the ISI and you got Pakistan. That's the CIA connection. Every Afghan American should know this. It's the CIA connection to the Taliban, and that is the ISI. We have a 9/11 connection. We have Muhammad Atta getting the $250,000. It doesn't end there. It goes on. We've got other reports where British intelligence, they've been seen dressing up like Iraqi men. Fake beards, fake towel heads. It came out in 2006. 9/11 truth, it's going to be brought out there more and more to demonize the United States. But you got a lot of people that were involved in this cover-up. And you got a lot of interest in these regions like Afghanistan and Iraq and so many others. And that's what the media, the mass media, isn't covering. They're giving people a script, and they're furthering this divide. And that'll just keep continuing over the course of the next decade. The U.S. is not in a situation to pay its bills back to China. And China is in a situation to ask. And to the whole world, they're going, and I know public opinion, I see it every day. They're not in favor of the U.S. They're in favor in China. China and Russia are winning the propaganda war, ladies and gentlemen. I can't sugarcoat this. If people see owning their own government as corrupt as the bully of the world, and if it's been allowed to be the bully of the world, it's been set up for a fall. They hijacked what's going on internally within our country, and they're doing things to destroy this country and allow the real global interest to come in and really change things up, and that is the New World Order. That is the dissolution of the Federal Reserve. You want to end the Fed, it's going to be ended before your fucking very eyes. And they're going to bring forth a New World Order currency out of all of this. And there's some analysis out there that say that there's going to be a coalition between Europe or a merger with Europe to fight off the Chinese and Russian threat. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see this go down. Don't freak out in the meantime. Look at this from a very rational perspective and understand the next decade they want us to fight each other, so don't participate in the program. I'm Alex Ansary. This has been my brief analysis on the lead up to World War III that I think could occur around 2025. AlexAnsary.tv is the website.